without any further delay, I'm going to actually get him on video. So, Patrick, it's time for you to jump on in here. Good to see you, sir. Why don't you tell us a little bit about this new book that you and Dr. Wagner are working on?
9 ways physicians in private practice let money slip through their fingers. You know what? If that doesn't get the attention of any doctor out there, I don't know what would, Eric. And this is going to be a great marketing tool, which we're going to talk about as we go through this webinar. But folks, the thing that makes us unique as a company is that we've developed marketing tools that your competition doesn't have. Mm-hmm. And so that's how you're going to make your competitors obsolete. We've already done that for you. So even though you think you might have competition in your area, and there probably are some companies out there that do billing for doctors, right? It's not going to be what you think it is, because you're going to wipe them out.
You bet. Now tell us, is this, let me ask you this, Patrick. I know that with the other book that we have up here, I'm going to go back over here, the New Thriving Medical Practice, right now for our licensees, those that are actually in the medical billing business now, we give those licensees an opportunity to actually write a foreword in the book for the New Thriving Medical Practice, and then actually put their name at the bottom as well.
Yeah.
Just like, there you go. Is that going to happen the same way with this 9 ways physicians in private practice let money slip through their fingers?
Absolutely. We are going to establish, basically what we do is we establish you as the expert. Yeah. The one that somebody wants to do business with. You know, we all like to do business with people who we know, like, and trust, but we also want them to be very educated on their subject. Well, guess what? If your name's on the front cover of a book written by a doctor, in fact, there's 2 of them, including this one here. You can have your name on here. It's also on the inside, and your contact information is in there at the end of the foreword. So basically, you get to write the foreword. Well, we've already written one. You can use it if you want to, or you can write your own. And there's your contact information right inside the book. Folks, from a marketing standpoint, it doesn't get any better than this.
No, that's awesome. Well, that is one of the things, Patrick, I know that we're going to kind of dive into this afternoon, of really talking about, you know, what's going to make things different for people and what's going to separate them from the competition. So one of the things that we do to separate ourselves from the competition, Patrick, I don't think our competition does a weekly webinar. If you think about it,
not only these webinars that you guys are attending today. This is a Wednesday. You get to see this, all this good information at no cost, just doing your due diligence on our company. We're going to share everything we can, and we have for the last 7, 8 years that we've been doing these webinars, Eric. And so there's lots of content out there on our website. But we're also going to show you how that you can be the person in your area that completely blows all your competition away.
You bet. So the way to start this off is that if you will look underneath your go-to webinar control panel, probably right underneath where the questions are, you'll see a place there where we have already put today's slides in a PDF format. So if you want to, go ahead and click those there, download that while we're getting ready to get this started off right here. Patrick, I know that we want to talk a little bit about very certain things today as we kind of go through this, and one of them is this article that you and I both ran across. This has been a little bit of time ago, but my goodness, it's still very, very valid because of the year. But it's talking about medical billing outsourcing market could reach 16.9 billion by 2024. That's still a few years off here.
Yeah, some people asked me the other day, Eric, on the phone, well, Mr. Phelps, what do you think about this industry? Is it going to be around a while? I said, well, if you do your research on this, you'll find out that it's going to be exploding in the next few years. Why? There's lots of people retiring, the baby boomers they call them. We got new people, a new population, of course, growing up and maturing and becoming adults that are now going to the doctors more. And it's just the whole industry, the medical industry is just booming. That's why it's 1/5 of the entire economic, gross domestic product of the United States.
Yes, yeah, no doubt about it. And so, folks, this, like I said, this one was written a few months back, but this is something, Patrick, that just came out here recently. Now we follow fairly quickly or fairly often this company called Black Book Resources, and what they're saying in this particular newswire talks about the accelerating numbers of physicians select outsourced RCM. What RCM stands for Revenue Cycle Management Services, as you can see here. And this is the latest thing that's come out from them. And Patrick, I'm going to kind of let you take this. And I tell you what, I'm going to pause this here real quickly because I want to fix this so people can see it, because I think we may have gotten that a little bit too big because of that last little thing down there at the bottom. I'm going to move that up and shift it over. What a great way to do all this. So in real time as we go through this, because I want to make sure everybody sees that. But you can see at the very bottom, we actually have the URL, which you'll find in your handout. But Patrick, everybody's wondering, as a matter of fact, I've just recently got some questions on what about doctors selling out to hospitals? They're going out and getting into hospitals. Folks, you can see this was dated May the 21st, so just a few weeks ago. There's a big upswing with doctors going back into private practice. You take it from here, sir.
Yeah, well, you can see that from the very last sentence. What they're saying there is that after 6 years, the swing has been upward, doctors working for big groups and hospitals and things. But now in 2017, it's rallying back. 72% of them now are saying that they would rather be in private practice. So that's a good thing for our licensees, because that's our market. That's your market, is going to be the smaller. I say smaller. I mean, the practices could have 6-10 doctors in it. And we think of that as a small practice, don't we, Eric? Yeah. But anyway, they want to be in private practice. Again, the reason for this book that Dr. Vicki Ragnar and I wrote is because the doctors are not thriving and they want to in private practice. So we show them how to do that.
Yeah, I just love the title that they have on here. I mean, everybody can see that. Physician groups undertake organizational mandate to transfer from volume to value and not sell out to hospitals.
That's the trend. That's the shift right now that's going on. So if you're asking if it's a good industry to be in, yes, it's 1/5 of the economy. And is it a good time right now? Yes, according to the Black Book report here. The trend is that doctors are getting back into private practice. So it's going to boom again, Eric. This is another boom. We had this back in 2007, 8, something like that, before the Obamacare came along, and now it's booming again. And here's a great quote out of this article here. 68% of group practices of 10 or more physicians reported that they would seek external advisement on financially and clinically transforming their operations before the second quarter of 2019. So who is that external advisement that they're going to look to? It's going to be you. We're going to train you how to be that person that they look to give them more advice on being in private practice and thriving. And then look at this quote. 89% of all surveyed physician organization decision makers on hiring a value-based care consultancy agree that they prefer an advisor with revenue cycle management expertise. Hey, that sounds familiar. Revenue cycle management, that's what we do. That's what we teach you to do and other people, and we've done that for 25 years. And folks, we also are leaders in this industry in that we came up with the title and helped formulate the Medical Revenue Management Association of America so that you would have a title that's different from medical biller or revenue cycle. It's now the medical revenue manager. That's what you're going to be, as a certified medical revenue manager. And then here.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's one more quote here that I want you to just, I think this one, and I think there may be one more after this one.
Okay, this one says the new era of how providers get paid is going to impact the entire organization, and most physician organizations aren't remotely prepared for it, according to 88% of surveyed practice managers. So folks, how providers, now that's a term that we use for doctors and physicians because there's other types of providers besides doctors, but all of those people, all of them, are people that we can help and that need help.
Well, you know, Patrick, sometimes you and I have run across articles like this that we could almost say, you know, folks, what we just shared with you is really all you need to know. because there is somewhat of a myth that a lot of doctors are leaving private practice and going into hospitals, and we know that's happened. They declared it that it was.
Right.
But now that you can see that there's a complete reversal of that, up to 70+% of doctors getting back into private practice and not wanting to leave and get absorbed by that. So now we want to show you how you can take that kind of knowledge and then take that over to our side. So one of the things that Patrick and I are working on currently is an entire webinar that we're going to talk with you about the differences between hospital billing, dental billing, and physician billing. Now we are tweaking some things. We're pulling together some new information because we know the competition out there may try to sell you that you can do hospital billing, or that you can do dental billing, or that you can do physician billing. And obviously, we can help you with that as well. However, Patrick, let's just kind of briefly talk about hospital billing. Now, you and I have been in this market you've been in it for 25 years. I've been in over a little over 10 years right now. And I have talked with hospitals. You've talked with hospitals.
Yeah.
But marketing to hospitals, trying to get a hospital account, that's a long, long process.
Well, it's not only a long process, it's almost impossible. I'll just put it this way. Folks, we have a platform that's available to our licensees for hospital billing and dental billing. Yes, but we don't make a big deal of that. And we don't promote that because that's not where the money is. Look, see this chart right here? That came from somewhere. I'm not sure where. But
it actually came from the Healthcare and Financial News.
Okay, and look, it's pretty clear. You can see right there that hospital billing is a huge part of the medical revenue cycle management that's out there in the world. However, that's not the market that you want to go after because like Eric said, it's a long process to go through all the committees and the people that are involved in that. They probably spent $100,000 on their software. They've got a dozen people that are doing the billing. Folks, that's a tough one. That is tough. Now, if you have a connection that we don't know about, of course, with a hospital administrator, yes, you might could take over their billing next week, and we could help you do that.
Yeah.
But we're being honest with you. The honest thing to say to people is, looking at this pie, your slice is the one in the bottom right-hand corner there, physician and clinical billing. Now, folks, that's still 20% of that. What did it say it was going to be? $16.9 billion industry.
Right.
That little slice is a huge piece of the pie, actually. And look at the dental. The dental is even smaller than this, 4% of the entire market. Folks, nobody in their right mind would encourage you to go after and spend time and money trying to market to dentists. Not that many people have insurance, dental insurance, and dentists don't see near as many patients as doctors do. It's just not as profitable.
So what we're showing you here is that we don't want to discourage you on any of this, because obviously we know that we can help you with that. And like Patrick said, if you know of a administrator of a hospital and you feel like you can get to there and build a staff for that, we can help you with the billing platform and get you all set up and get that going. That's not a problem. Same thing with the dental billing. But in each of those cases, if we take all three of these are different businesses in and of themselves. And so there's different codings that happen with the hospital billing. There's obviously different coding that happens with the dental billing. And so that's why we have focused our attention. And so this is a personal matter, Patrick, that all of us here at ABS have just said, this is a personal thing for us. It's a better fit for us and our licensees, and for us in our, what we would consider our wheelhouse. We are better at helping our licensees get in front of doctors, sign up doctors, and those doctors stay with our licensees for a very long time.
Yes, and Eric, let me point out too that the physicians out there, there's so many of them that we tell people, look, you sign up all the physicians in your area, and then if you've got time, you can go after the dental market or the hospital market. But folks, that ain't going to happen, because I can tell you that we've got the database of all the doctors in the United States, and I can tell you there's almost 1 million, and they are everywhere and all types of specialties that you can do billing for. So that bottom on physician billing is all the doctors that you know probably.
Right.
All the doctors in your area are physicians that need help with their billing unless they work for the hospital, of course.
That's right. You bet. And we know a lot of those guys that were working for the hospital are now starting to leave. So it's a very good market. Patrick, I'm going to let you kind of take this next few slides here because this is personal for you.
It is.
What's going on right here?
This book that you can find on Amazon is called Monopolize Your Marketplace. Now, it's the subtitle that I love. Listen to this. Separate your business from the competition and then eliminate them. See? That's what it's all about in business. Now, we don't want to put anybody out of business or out of work. Somebody's just going to have to work a little harder if they want to keep up with you, because we're going to show you how to use the secrets in this book. And by the way, this fellow actually helped me to build my business. Yeah, he's actually done some consulting for us. And in fact, Eric, I just want to show you this. I don't know if you've seen this or not, but this book is, it's not brand new. It's been out a couple or 3 years, but this is a great book where this guy actually says in his introduction that he thanks me. I just wanted to show you that because I thought it was cool that he actually said something about me in the book. There it is. Yeah, see right there? A special thanks to Patrick Phillips. That's because I helped him tweak and figure out most of this system using my own business model. And so look what he says here. The confidence gap represents the buyer's inability to distinguish whether any of the businesses or any of the products or any of the services are any better, different, or worse than any of the others. In other words, when your prospective client, your doctor, your office manager, when they're looking at outsourcing their billing, believe me, they want to distinguish whether you have anything that distinguishes you from your competition. And we just happen to have. Yeah.
We certainly do. And he kind of goes on talking about what this confidence gap looks like. And this is some of the things that you worked with him and I'm assuming that he wrote about here in this particular book.
Yes, and we teach some of these things that you see here, of course. Some of the content that you're getting today, folks, is what we go into in detail for our licensees. We mentioned earlier that the webinars that are held on Wednesdays are for people like yourself who are looking at getting into our business. Once you've gone through our week-long training here in Fort Worth, you can then go to our website for our licensees and view all sorts of training and attend live training webinars. Usually on Fridays, we hold those. We have one this Friday, by the way, that me and Dr. Vicki Ragnar are doing, Eric, for the licensees. So you can pick up more and more data and education on the business, even after you've gone through our week's training here, because there's a lot to learn about business, competition, and so forth. And as you can see here, that confidence gap that the buyer, that your prospective clients have, are due to the changing technology that's out there. Eric, I can't keep up with it. Can you? I mean, literally, there's new technology every day, even on the internet. There's new competition, of course, as more and more people start a medical billing company. There's more competition out there. There's more choices for the prospect in choosing between you and other companies. They have instant information available to them on the internet, of course, on the web. And there's an entrepreneur boom going on, Eric. More and more people are starting their own businesses.
You're right.
And so you're going to face all that. All of that leads to the increased resistance on the part of buyers, the longer buying cycles, the price competition that's out there, the products as commodities because you can get them anywhere, right? And the identical marketing messages doesn't distinguish you. But we're going to show you using things like these personalized books, how to interrupt, and basically that means to get their attention. We're going to show you how to engage with them through a series of follow-up postcards and emails. We're going to educate them through these books and seminars that you can do for them. And we're going to offer to do a practice analysis, which will lead to, look at that. Do you like that one on fire there, Eric?
I do. Absolutely.
Results. So we're going to teach you all of these things, folks, as we get a little bit further into the year, this year. Eric, if we go back on the LSS, the licensee support website, I think on the right-hand side there in the history of the the news items, it goes back to 2014. So we have 4 years of good information that's out there waiting for people who join us as licensees.
Well, I'm glad you said all that, because while you were doing that, I was managing over here watching the questions, and Stan Lee's asking the question and stating, my greatest fear is, and you know what? This probably applies to everybody here, everybody that's going to listen to it later on in a recording. My greatest fear is the lack of experience in this field, in medical billing or the healthcare industry, a negative impact. How does one overcome the lack of experience or experience in medical billing management? Engaging physicians in medical terms may impact your business as a result. So just basically, how do we get our licensees that join us that have no experience in this and get them to a position where they're that greatest fear in them actually has been eliminated?
Well, let me tell you how I address that, Eric and Stanley. In the live training workshops, I actually hold up a piece of paper and I ask people, I tell them that this is an order, a new contract with a new doctor. How many of you would like to have this today? And of course, everybody raised their hand, right? But the point is that at that point, I've asked that at the beginning of the week, and they don't know a thing. They don't understand medical billing or terminology or anything like that, Stanley. So we have learned over the years how to educate you enough during that week for you to go out and get your first client the following week or month, if that's what you want to do, instantly. However, there's always new stuff to learn, and that's why we do these live webinars on a weekly basis, ongoing. Remember, no charge to the licensees. That's all included in your license fee, lifetime support and the training, and that includes those webinars that we do. We do that to educate you so you do know more than your competition.
And again, I'm just putting this back up here. Remember, Stanley, that at the bottom of this book here, The New Thriving Medical Practice, you're actually going to be the one that has written, because you can do your own forward to the book, and we can put it in there, to have your name down there. So let's do one thing to help everybody today, and that is everybody that's listening to the webinar today. At the end of the day, why don't you email us here at ABS or your business coach that you're working with, ask us for a digital copy of The New Thriving Medical Practice. We'd love to get that to you. Obviously, we have nothing here to hide. We want you to be educated. You can go out there and buy it on Amazon for $24.95, but we'll get you a digital copy for just attending today. We'd love to be able to share that with you. And Stanley, that would be one of the best ways that you can start educating yourself now and preparing yourself, hopefully, to come join us here at ABS in this live training workshop. So we do want to try to give you all the information as much as we can. And one of the things that is going to help you here is what we're going to talk about for the rest of the time. As a medical revenue manager, now remember, you're not going to be a medical biller. You're a medical revenue manager. You will not have to, guess what? You will not have to code claims. Patrick, I think one of the biggest fears that anybody has, and I'm sure maybe it's crossed Stanley's mind or anybody else's mind, is I don't know these medical codes.
Right. It's all those thousands and thousands of codes that people know are out there, numbers that represent what's wrong with the patient and what the doctor is doing for the patient. And those are all coded with numbers so that they're easy to put into a computer system and submit. But you don't have to know a thing about those. And the reason for that is because we happen to know exactly what you need.
So let me explain to you the difference between a medical coder and a medical biller. Okay, and we're just going to use medical biller as it's a very generic term, because obviously as a medical revenue cycle management company, you will be doing medical billing. But let's just kind of talk about this. A medical coder, the lady on the left-hand side, she's reviewing or listening to the doctor's notes. You can see in that picture there, she's got a little headset there. So she's probably, the doctor's been dictating this, and what she's doing is having to look at the codes. And so basically what that means is that she's turning the doctor's notes or what she's hearing into numerical medical codes. So that's what a medical coder does. However, a medical biller, or better yet, even a medical revenue management company, you're going to take normally what's could be coming from a coder, and what you're going to do is take those codes and put them into a billing system. A coder doesn't do billing. A medical biller does billing, and sometimes you might find somebody that does both. However, let's even take it even further, because in today's world with doctors, folks, it is the doctor's responsibility to provide the proper medical codes to any billing company or any medical biller. Patrick, because really, it's their neck that's actually on the line at the end of the day. Because even if the doctor says, here are my notes, Patrick Phillips, I need you to convert these into codes, that coder can only do so much. And if the doctor's not communicating properly in their notes, the doctor could be literally still held responsible for giving over wrong codes.
Yeah, and let me tell you why that's important that they do use the right codes. First of all, they can use codes that will pay them less than they could be earning on a particular encounter with a patient, because there are sometimes 4 or 5 different codes that apply to that particular procedure that they might do to the patient. So the point is that we have on staff over 100 certified medical coders. That's right, folks. You don't have to know about the codes because we've got people who do. I mean, they know exactly what codes should be used. And we have 2 services that you can offer to doctors that for a fee helps them with their codes and makes you money at the same time. Code Right, which is those coders that I talked about that would basically behind the scenes find out whether the doctor is using the codes they should be using to make the money they should be making. And then Audit Guard is to protect against Medicare walking in at any time like they can do and auditing the practice and fining them $10,000 for every code that's wrong. That's a big fear on the part of doctors.
Big fear.
Yeah, there's doctors that have been, fined $1 million in total for all the different things they did wrong. So we've got services that help the doctor with that. And yes, you make money offering those services through us to those doctors.
You bet. So folks, just let the fear come down already. If we were to say, okay, we only went 30 minutes a day in the webinar, we've given you enough information to bring that fear level down. We kind of answered a lot of questions that the doctors are actually getting back into private practice on some of the things that we've been talking about so far. So hopefully you're getting a lot of good takeaways so far from the webinar today. So we've kind of answered a lot of questions about the coding. So folks, if you have any other questions about coding, feel free to type those in. I'll kind of be watching them, but if not, we're going to keep moving on. Because there are some other questions that are coming up, and some of these we're just going to kind of reserve towards the end. Patrick, a lot of questions come about this. Do I have to call those patients and say, where's the doctor's money?
Yeah, I'm sure that's a big fear for a lot of people, but folks know you do not have to collect past due money. Now, we do have systems in place that helps the patient to choose how they want to pay, how much they want to pay, and if they have been ignoring the statements from the doctor, we have a quick collect service that you can offer through the doctor's practice that collects on that for you. But it's not phone calls. This is all done automatically, electronically, digitally. And so we do a follow-up on that automatically. You make money on that service when you offer to the doctor. And Eric, that has collected sometimes for some doctors up to 98% of their money. And most of them are leaving sometimes half of all the money that they bill to patients is left there, out there in La La Land.
So folks, these are some of these ancillary services that we're talking about here. These are support services. Obviously, we're going to get into really what the whole business is all about, which is the medical revenue management of it. But these are just supporting services, and a lot of time, Patrick, this is a good. I even hate to use the word door opener. I think we kind of beat that word down, but it is an engagement, a discovery with doctors and maybe even their staff. What's going on with their particular, what's really going on with their practice there. And so talking about choice pay or talking about quick collect or talking about coding in and of itself can actually give open some discovery questions with an office manager or a doctor, and they've never even really thought about these things.
Yeah, and most of the times they don't want to deal with this. That's why the money's left on the table, and the doctor has to write that off at the end of the year on his taxes. But believe me, if it's $100,000, the doctor would rather have that in his back pocket in his bank account than to have to write it off on a tax deduction type thing.
Yeah, you bet.
That,
All right, let's go on. I don't see any other questions because there's a couple of those questions, like I said, I'm going to reserve there towards the end. The other thing is, Patrick, a lot of people think, I don't want to actually have to handle the doctor's money. I think there's somewhat of a fear of, do I get paid as the medical biller, and then do I have to pay the doctor? I know at one time, I think way back when, I think that's the way it used to be, wasn't it?
Yeah, and that's a lot of, believe it or not, there are billing services out there that work for doctors that have all the money sent to their bank account, and then they disperse that to the doctor. We do not recommend that at all. That's where you come up with fraud and all kinds of things. We don't want that temptation even. So no, nothing changes. The doctor still gets his money directly from the insurance companies and from Medicare and the government, and it goes directly into their bank account.
Yes. And so think about it again, folks. Just think about the name, Certified Medical Revenue Manager. You're just managing how the doctor is getting paid. You're watching money come in. And folks, let's also kind of let you know that you're also managing even the cash that the doctor gets in the beginning. And you kind of go, well, I didn't think I handled cash. Obviously, when the doctors are seeing patients, they're going to get co-pays and deductibles. They're actually paying that directly to the doctor, but you're managing that in the iClaim platform. And so you're still making a percentage of that because obviously you're managing all of the doctor's revenue. So that's all part of it as well. Right. The other great thing about it is that there's really no selling or sales in this industry. We've talked about education. And that's what's driven you, Patrick, to write the books that you have, because you want to educate the doctors. And so that's what we like to talk about here.
Doctors love to be educated on new stuff. They're constantly going to seminars and things to learn more about the medical practice. What they don't spend a whole lot of time on, Eric, is learning about how to run their practice as a business that makes a profit.
Right.
And we teach them, we educate them in this book. Eric, let me tell you how this works. We've given this out to licensees with their name on the cover here. They've marked a few passages we've told them to mark and stuck little sticky notes on there so the doctor can see those and flip to them. We've had doctors that have been given this book, Eric. They don't have time to read the whole book.
Right.
But they will flip through it. And because we teach our licensees how to mark the book up and hand it to them marked up, the doctors read those passages, and we've had them call the licensees up out of the blue and say, hey, you gave me a book a couple of weeks ago. I finally got around to flipping through it, and I think we need some help.
Yes.
So that's the secret in marketing. If you want to know what we do different, folks, that's it. We're educating them to the point where they make the decision that they want to call us.
And so what we're going to do right now, we're going to take just a few minutes here and kind of educate you. So, we've talked about here just real quickly, we're going to show you just sort of what we call the evolution of medical billing and where it was, where it is now. Because obviously back in the day, again, what you're seeing here is when we talk about doctors seeing their patients and using paper, this is what we're talking about here. This is what's called a super bill. And folks, if you can see it, we've tried to blow it up as large as we can. You see all the codes on there. So the doctors are looking at the codes and they're just circling those codes. And then guess what? They're going to give those codes over to somebody to do the billing. But Patrick, I think what this thing is called, I don't know. The last time I saw one of these was like in Argentina. I think it's called a typewriter.
Could you have found an older picture than that? Yeah. Well, in fact, my wife actually used, well, it wasn't a manual typewriter, but it was a typewriter that she was using when she first started doing the billing back in the late 80s. There was no computer program that would do that. Now, of course, it's all electronic. So even though we're illustrating what you're doing here with codes and so forth, and the form on the right, yes, you need to fill that in, but it's all done electronically in our system, and then the push of a button, and it's sent.
Yep. And so that's what it is. I mean, it converted from typing out, now it's in a computer format. But then we're showing this to you because we want to show you the evolution of where it is still stuck. That's a great way to put it. A lot of doctors are still stuck in this somewhat archaic world and mindset. So what I'm going to do right here is to illustrate this to you. So first of all, we will state there are still doctors that are filling out this information, utilizing a super bill. They're still giving it to somebody to actually put it into some type of software. And when they do that, that gets processed over to a clearinghouse. Now, we'll just quickly share with you what a clearinghouse is. It just takes claims, it formats them for all the insurance companies, but it's also checking. And guess what happens, folks? If this clearinghouse finds errors with those claims never get past what you're looking at right now. Just think about that, Patrick.
Yeah.
Some claims never leave this, and they come right back over here, which means it's substantiating why some doctors are only getting collections in a year's time, 65 to maybe 75% of their money on a regular basis.
Yeah.
So a lot of people wonder, where does this happen? It's right here.
Yeah. They're having to rely, the doctors and other billing companies, having to rely on a third-party clearinghouse, a company that takes that data and reformats it and scrubs it and all that, and charges a fee for that, right? Yeah. There's money involved in that. But the main thing is that it just gets bogged down. Sometimes you contact the clearinghouse, they don't have any idea where that claim is or why it didn't get paid, and all sorts of problems with it if you don't have the right technology.
Right. So again, you can see up here the left, doctor starts with something still archaic, a super bill, gives it to somebody, they put it into their system, they get it to a clearinghouse, some get through, some get rejected to come back over here, and then it just starts this whole bottleneck. And this is what many doctors are still utilizing in their business model. Same thing here. You're going to find out the only thing different here is that the doctors are actually using electronic format, which is what's called electronic medical records, which will show up here in just a second. But it's the same process as you'll see here. The only thing really, again, that's changing is you'll see this pop up over here in the left-hand corner is, they're using electronic medical records. Oops, let me get back over there to that one.
Well, so they hadn't quite got there to where we're at, which you're about to show. So, folks, these are what you're dealing with out there. As far as competitors, they're all using somebody that has a clearinghouse that's a third party. Unless they're using our software, we're the only company that we know of that has the built-in clearinghouse.
That's it. And so we wanted to try to just paint these two illustration pictures here for you so that you really get a good grasp. Now, we know that there's really truly something, and there is a completely different way of actually doing business. And what we're able to do and what we're able to show you here, we would love to demonstrate for you, but we're going to try to do it as best we can. We've got about 18, 17 more minutes here. But you can see, just simplistic, we have been able to bring that clearinghouse inside of the billing platform. So even if a doctor's still using a super bill, Patrick, that's okay.
Yeah.
We're able to go directly in real time to every one of these insurance companies now, improving the doctor's amount of money that they actually get from 65 to 70% up to where we are at 98%. That's a big significant turnaround there. And then instead of it being 60 to 90 days of getting paid, how about we get the doctors paid within 7 to 10 days? That's a huge, again, if we just look at our title here, how we render the competition or competitors obsolete. Right. What have we done? We're in a different world now than what they're accustomed to.
Yeah, it means the doctors are going to get their money faster, and they're going to get more of it because, folks, we have a built-in scrubber that, in conjunction with the clearinghouse feature in our software, is actually making sure that claim is going to get paid as to the best of our ability. Now, there's still a little small rejection rate there, sometimes less than 2% that our licensees experience, but There's not much you can do about that, folks. That's just nationwide. That is the average, but it's 2%. It's 2 out of 100. It's not a big deal. And you can work those. You can find out what's wrong with those if you want to spend some time on them. But for a lot of people, they've taken the doctor's rejection rate from 35% down to less than 2%.
That's Patrick, I heard what you said earlier. You mentioned earlier that if you had a doctor that's already out there looking for a medical billing company, would anybody learn how to do medical billing? And that's really the truth. But I'll even take it back a little bit step further. If we could give, if there was such a thing, a list of doctors that are saying, you know what, I'd like for at least for you to do a practice analysis on it because I just know that I am losing money. Would people get involved in this business? And I think anybody that's on here would probably say yes. What we're able to do is shorten that up a little bit by teaching our new licensees, which we just went through this last class, of how to engage a doctor to get to that practice analysis, because this is what's selling the doctor, not necessarily all the bells and whistles we have. That's just added bonuses. But when we get the doctors to discover that they're losing 60, let's see, what's the average? 34% of their money on a monthly basis, and we can take that down to less than 2%.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Huge. It's huge. It can change whether a doctor stays in private practice or not.
That's right.
And Eric, the great thing about our system that we teach the licensees, remember those first 2 steps that we saw earlier in that chart, interrupt and engage. That's the hardest part in today's world because everybody's being hit by advertising and salespeople from all sides, right? TV, internet, billboards. And we've got to somehow interrupt that. And the way we do that is, again, by giving something to the office manager and the doctor that's different from anybody else that's out there. It's a book. Right. It's a free book. It sells for $24.95 on Amazon. I'm giving it to the doctor free. That is a huge, and by the way, we haven't mentioned this, Eric, but these books cost our licensees, our printing cost from Amazon on these is $4 a copy. So they get that at $4 a copy with their name on the front.
That's right.
It's unheard of. By the way, somebody asked, I think it's D, as to how much it costs to get this business going. So D, you can find this on our website, but it's $27,000. That's our license fee, kind of like a franchise fee, but we don't have any territories. We don't have any royalties or anything like that. But it is a $27,000. Now that includes the week's training here in Dallas, but it also includes access to our licensee website and lifetime support and training from us. So that's an all-inclusive. We don't nickel and dime you after you've bought the business package.
You bet. All right. So again, just kind of looking at this as a whole solution here, folks. There's nothing here that is a billing system, EMR system, clearinghouse, and patient portal that we've just kind of merged together from different software sources. You're talking about it's one source. It's one group of engineers that's working on all of this simultaneously. And that's what's making it work so well and so easily. So when you've got the iClaim billing platform that is in conjunction with the electronic medical records platform, which is engaged with the clearinghouse, and then finally it gives the opportunity for the patients to have a patient portal, paying their what they're currently owed to the doctor online, scheduling appointments, requesting medication refills, reviewing of medical records, actually messaging the doctor. And one thing we didn't put in here is actually having what's called an e-visit, Patrick, an actual telemedicine visit with the doctor through the patient portal and the doctor's EMR side through a video conference, just like what we're doing right now.
Yeah, it's the latest thing that's out there. And in fact, Eric, I just ran across a company the other day that actually sells a franchise opportunity that's basically all they do is you go out and you set up doctors using telemedicine, because that is the future. That is a big thing. But we've had that built into our system now for years.
Yeah, of course, you bet. Dee says that's awesome. Whatever her you said there. Allison is asking a question. If the doctor doesn't want the coding service, can I do it and correct the codes, resubmit the claims with the medical records? You bet. Allison, if you're a certified professional coder or a coder and you know how to do that, you bet. I mean, you can do that right through the iClaim system. Matter of fact, I'm going to go back over to here, Allison, just kind of let you know what we can do for you is actually do a go-to meeting with each other, and I can demonstrate this for you, and you can actually see that when the doctors are using our EMR system, it's actually coding properly for the doctors. Patrick, I did a demo for one of our licensees. I'm trying to think what day it was, Monday. And I think I actually did two this last Monday. I did one early in the morning, I did one in the afternoon. And both of those doctors are coming on board with both of our licensees. But the thing that both the doctors loved was the fact that it does the coding. Yeah. It was just, one was a podiatrist and one was a chiropractor. And they both fell in love with the EMRX side of it, and that they didn't have to go hunting for the diagnosis codes. They loved that it kept up with the whole part of the note and putting out the correct procedure codes and everything else. The doctors love the simplicity and the accuracy of the coding that's actually done with inside of our system.
Yeah, so folks, again, if you're on here today and you haven't seen a live demo, I mean, literally, we get on there one-on-one with you and just go through it, showing you exactly how it works, letting you ask all the questions you want. If you haven't done that, get back with the person who sent you the email about this webinar. We call them your business coach, and just say, I'd like to see the live demo. We'll set that up with
you. We certainly will.
Eric, I have about 4 minutes and I got to run. So I'm just letting you know that so we can move right on.
Yep. So let's just zip through this, and I give you the last part of it here. But let's just kind of take a look at what it means to process a medical claim. Here we go. You're going to be doing the medical coding, or not the medical coding, but the medical billing for the doctor, the revenue cycle management. And here it is, iClaim. We're just going to go to here. We're going to go to billing. We're going to go right over here where it says professional charge claims or professional claim charges. You're going to find the patient of that doctor. That the doctor's going to give you maybe a super bill that's got the patient's name on it. You search for that, and then you put in the code. So right at the very bottom down there, right above where our logo name is, where it says ABS, you'll see that one little spot there. It says R05. Well, that's a diagnosis code for a cough. So we just type that in there, and then you put in the rest of the information, just like you see here, and it calculates everything else, the time of the visit and how much that one is, and if there's an injection, and it puts that in there. And then finally you just get down here and create claim. And once you've created that claim, folks, it's going through. I'm going to go back over to this one slide over here real quickly, because I know Patrick's got to get going here. But once it goes through this particular part of it, get to right there. There we go. Once you click submit claim, it's going through our billing service, which is iClaim and the clearinghouse at the same time, and then it's sending it over to the insurance company. Patrick, imagine that we can tell a doctor that we're going to start submitting claims directly to the insurance companies, and they'll be at the insurance company the same day. Yeah,
they're blown away by that when they hear that. Somebody said on here a comment about the fact that some Medicare has been paying claims fairly fast. Now, I don't know that because I'm not out there actually doing the claims, Eric, but I know the insurance companies will hold that money as long as they can. I mean, sometimes up to 30, 60, 45, 60 days, because the longer it's in their bank account, the better for them, right?
Yes, you bet. Patrick, I know that you're kind of coming up a hard stop on because you've got some things to go on, so I'm going to let you kind of wrap up in general everything. Talk a little bit about the money back guarantee. You can kick it back over to me when you're done.
Okay, sure. Well, folks, I know you find this hard to believe, but there's not many. Well, I don't know of any company out there, Eric. Do you? I haven't heard of one that offers a franchise / business opportunity with a money back guarantee. 100% of your money will be returned. If you go through our training at the end of the week, you just say to yourself, you know what? I just don't like the way Eric looks up there front at training. I want my money back. They can get their money back, can't they, Eric? I mean, we have that. I mean, it's been done a handful of times over the years. But the point is, folks, we do that because we're confident. We are very confident, 100% confident that you're going to like what you see. If for some reason you don't, we don't want your money. We don't want you to stay in the business because we make money on all the services that you're offering to the doctors out there on an ongoing basis on the back end. So we want you to be successful. We're going to help you be successful. And so if you don't like it, you get your money back at the end of the week. Now, we can't pay for your travel or your hotel during the week here while you're here. But the point is, that's very little money if you think about it. You could invest to come down here and find out if what we're saying is right. Because we could be just making all this up, Eric. People don't even know that they may show up in Fort Worth and we're not even there at the hotel. They've never heard of us. Is that possible?
No. I know that people have thought about that. Go, oh my goodness, if I step off this plane, I go to this hotel, is there going to be anybody showing up in that room? But
yeah, so we'll tell you, look, get back with your coach and ask them where the training is going to be held. We'll give you the phone number of the hotel if you want to call them and ask them if we're for real. We're there about every 6 or 7 weeks. Eric, thanks again. Got to run?
You bet, Patrick. Thanks so much.
Good data here. I hope I see everybody that's on the webinar today. I hope I see you somewhere down the line at one of our upcoming live training workshops.
You bet.
Bye
Thanks, Patrick.